Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 Back of the Shop, and today we're going to be highlighting SpeedFest. It's Saturday, January 18th, the date that SpeedFest was originally going to be racing. The rain came through, so they moved the date to Friday, and it was quite the show. We're going to highlight all the Pro Late Model 100 with the race itself, some of the drama throughout the race, the tires, the competitors, everything. So let's get right into it. I want to introduce our co-hosts on the podcast here, Kyle Hood, Alex Carter, and Jason Kutsch, and I'm Brett Suggs, and you're watching Back of the Shop. SpeedFest at Cordial Motor Speedway hosted a 100-lap race for the Pro Late Models. There was 26 cars, and as I mentioned, the race moved to Friday night yesterday because weather was in the area, and it was pretty rainy when we left the track this morning. We left the area, so 26 cars, some of the big names in there: Stephen Nassy, Michael Hine, past winner, Cole Butcher, Luke Baldwin, Tristan McKee, some of the Cars Tour regulars were in the field. Tristan recently signed with Spire. That's a big development deal, part of the Chevy program. One thing I want to jump into, and Kyle being crew chief and being at the track and seeing it firsthand, they brought a brand new tire, and we talked about it in the last episode too, the ST3 Star, which is what we confirmed they're calling it.
Yeah.
What do you think of that new tire?
Right off the gate, it's a little bit different than the ST3 was. It took us really all weekend to get a grip on it. Felt like we were kind of going the wrong direction a little bit on Friday. We thought we unloaded on Saturday, and we thought we were heading the right direction. We actually kind of went back where we were on Friday and kind of figured out where we need to be on it. So after figuring all that out, we have a really good idea of where we need to be next time we unload. But I don't have any problem with the tires, just more or less just trying to figure where we need to land with it, So
yeah, everybody was in the same ballpark. It was their first time on this new tire.
Yeah, everybody talked up down pit road was dealing with the same thing. Nobody had been on it till Thursday, and everybody was fighting kind of the same situation,
So since it was your first race back at the track, go ahead and tell everybody who the driver was, what the deal was, and how that came about.
Yeah, so
Jason, chime in if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, so we had an opportunity, and we thought it was going to come through, and some things didn't happen, and so we kind of had the car open at the last minute. So we reached out to TJ Decaire and put a deal together, and it just kind of happened at the last second. So we were trying to go test, and between his schedule, our schedule, and then we wound up having some issues with our trailer, and we had to actually go borrow a trailer just to get there. And so between all that going on, we were just fortunate to even show up to the track. And then once I found out about the tire, at that point, I really felt like testing really was just going to be a waste of time until we got on the new tire. So we ended up unloading on Thursday and kind of, figured it out from there.
And no one had access to the tires till Thursday. Isn't that when he said they were coming down? So it was like, why go test on a tire that we can't run down there?
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. Someone that did go down there and test on an old tire, Luke Baldwin, all of the Friday practice, he was on the old tire until the very last run.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump into it in a little bit, but then he put the new tire on and went top of the board. So we'll highlight that some more, but I thought that was pretty impressive. Thursday was Pro and Super Late Model practice, and they ran them together on track at the same time.
Yeah,
what do you think of that?
Tough.
Well, it was hard on my end of it, just trying to keep up with who's who, and checking times. Race monitor was not up at the track. So, we were trying to clock some other cars and clock ourselves. And, it's hard to determine which one. If you're not, you really have to know what you're looking for to tell the difference between a super and a pro. So, and when they're driving past, it's hard to tell.
Well, and the window banner not being on until Friday, and a lot of the cars, some people are running both cars matched, so it's kind of a tough deal to really know where you stacked up.
Our Back of the Shop host picks, we're changing up how we do things a little bit. We're making our pick based on where we finished in the last race, which was the Red Eye. Alex, you won the Red Eye back-to-back, so go ahead and tell us about your pick.
So I picked TJ just because he was our driver. So, I got to go with the man who's driving, piloting our vehicle over there.
Yeah, might as well. And we're not allowing duplicate picks, so you picked that one first, so that took it off the board for everybody else. Jason, who do you have?
I picked Cale Hall. He's a local guy from Griffin. He's been running a big car down there for about 3 years. He gets around the track pretty good. He's 2023 track champion, so I thought he'd be a pretty good pick, and I mean, he's pretty quick, pretty fast, practiced good. I think we talked about him a little bit later too, where he kind of had a couple spins, but he was fast. He had a good car down there.
Yeah. And then Kyle.
Yeah, of course, Alex here put me in a box. So asking me to bet against myself, so it was a tough deal. So they asked me to do a pick, so I just picked Kyle Hood, but they said that wasn't allowed. So, no, I did a lot. I really like Luke. He's a phenomenal helmet holder. Does a really good job at that. So, I mean, top of the board for me,
Yeah.
So
He did. He come down pit road. I mean, he really can tote a helmet good.
he struts down pit
Yeah,
road,
he struts
holding his
it.
helmet. And
Luke,
I mean,
you really did carry that helmet really good.
He did say he was upset his dad didn't get the right color car for
That's
him.
right. That's right. That's right.
Oh, that's funny. And then I picked Cole Butcher. He's a hot shoe in super late models. He's been pretty good in pros as well. He's won some Cars Tour races. But I actually had a little assistance, so shout out Jonathan Platt. He hit me up earlier in the week. He said, hey, you got to make Cole Butcher your pick for the show. And I said, all right, if you say so, I'll go with him. So that took it out of my hands. Lap 2 of practice, he blew up, and I was like, guys, can I change my pick?
We were happy.
So
Not
I thought,
for him, but for us.
I thought I was SOL right there, but they got another motor, and he was able to get back on track. And
props to them because, Kyle, you know how much work that is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And they had to go back to Mooresville to get the motor. It's not like they just
Did
had
they put a
it.
stock 604 back in it?
I'm not sure what they put in it.
Because I heard that's what they were originally intending to run with the weight brake and
okay.
all that was the stock 604.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know what they ended up going back with.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. They were going to run the backup car, but Platt said that would have been too much work to, I guess it wasn't fully put together.
Yeah.
So to get it prepared and then to get it on track.
And
they
that's
were
that's a lot of work to put,
is.
change the motor
yeah,
at the track
in
like
a short
that.
time period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So practice, there was some surprise fast times. It was a close bag of drivers. The lap times all throughout the weekend were tight.
Yeah.
B-Low was top 5 in both practices. I thought that was a good mark for him. Luke Baldwin, we talked about him.
Unbelievable.
He's never even seen the track.
I know.
And somehow he figured out how to get around there. How'd that happen?
Somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks to my dad, probably.
Well,
but,
I was going to say, there might have been a little trick.
Yeah, so he's never seen the track before. And then Marcy.
Direct competition. He's like never giving secrets away. So, hey, it's all fair game.
Marcy went up to him and said, hey, the trick in 3 and 4, which that's for everybody else to find out, but
That's funny.
he gave him a little nudge in the right direction. Kid that's never seen the track, but I mean, Luke's a driver, so he was going to figure it out probably, but
Absolutely.
Marcy.
He's a driver
kicked
and a
him in.
mechanic. I heard he
Yeah.
built
That's
the whole
right.
car.
That's right.
He
Did he?
works on his cars all himself.
He didn't just bring his helmet and
That's
show
right.
up? Okay. well,
Not to this one. This
Not-
one
okay.
he worked on the car.
Then we switched gears, jumped into qualifying. Hudson Bolger, local driver down there, he was quickest in both pro and super. So he's got the place figured out in qualifying. Tyler Reif went second, his first race in the BLR 47. Luke, he qualified third. He
Never
was
being there.
on
strong.
it.
He did good.
Seth Christensen, another local Georgia driver, qualified fourth. He was in a different car this weekend. He wasn't in his normal freight racing car. I'm not sure. I've seen that team around. I don't know who he's running for, though.
Well, it was prepared, I guess, by A-Robs, which is out of Monroe.
Okay.
But then the guy who owns it, I think, they're based out of Monroe too.
So Christensen went fourth, and then Blaze Rutherford in a Jamie Yelton prepared car. I don't know much about Blaze, but I've heard he's pretty good. He qualified fifth. Belo qualified sixth, and it was tight.
But all in all, that was a tight field.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole qualifying.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't have been. I don't know what it was, but it couldn't have been much.
3/10, like top 15 or something.
Yeah, first through 18th or separated by 3/10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tight.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a field that tight all year, to be honest.
Yeah, in the
with you.
pros,
In the
yeah,
pros, I mean,
it's
that was
tight.
super tight.
They did a redraw format at this race, so not just a traditional invert. They all drew checkered flags, and the first driver to draw, which was Hudson, drew an 8. Or he might have drawn a 7. It was the last row of the
I think it was
invert.
top 8, they said.
They did the top 8. So Hudson drew a 7. I think Tyler drew a 7 or an 8 or whatever. Belo drew a 2 though. Put him on the front row. And Brandon, I got to give you a little crap because a few times that you start on the front row, you've driven off track. So I had to give you a little shout out there. But a pill draw style of redraw, and that shaped us up for an exciting race. All 100 laps.
It was good. It was a good race.
Action-packed. Let's jump into it. Tristan McKee got redrawn to the pole, and he jumped out there and led the first 12 laps in his own race car. He's not in the Setzer car anymore.
Yeah.
So he went out there, led a little while, and then first caution, lap 12, car blew up, the 34 car. Lap 13, we come around, and Luke again, I mean, he's going to be probably the highlight of the show, but he went bonsai into turn three wide. Clean, though, and he took the lead. He didn't touch anybody. So that was a big move for him. And then the yellow came out a lap later. A Rackley car, Isaac Kitzmiller, went off the track. Lap 17, another quick yellow. Carter Whalen had a flat right front, so yellow flag came out for that. Lap 38, another caution. Tristan McKee this time, after being a pretty fast runner throughout the race.
Fuel pump?
I think so.
That's what I heard.
Fuel pickup or something, they said.
Yep, something along those lines. Put him out early in the go-in. And then from that point on, we had quite the long run, 40 laps from 38 to 78 with Luke
He
pulling
was
away.
walking away. I mean, he really was. He was
I wonder if it was the motor combination they brought
he was
down
out
there.
there.
I mean, honestly, they were good, but I think it's
Just the
more like
fresh air.
whoever's got fresh air.
Yeah.
I mean, the field was so tight. Like, whoever could get out there in open air was going to have the advantage at that point. Could kind of lead the whole race.
And we don't hear that much in
No.
short track racing. I
No.
mean, more so lately people are talking about it. And the new style body,
And
I
this
feel
tire is going to force more of that because it's such a harder sidewall and compound, and you really got to load it up. So every little bit's going to help. I mean, it's always helped, but that's really going to be.
So Luke led a good portion there, and then lap 78 we get a caution. Aiden Potter turns around Isaac Kitzmiller right in front of the leaders, actually. Luke was coming around and almost got collected. So that was a close call there. And then they get back under green for a little while to lap 85. Stuart Dutton spins off turn 2. Almost hits the pace truck. Did y'all see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was close.
So on the backstretch, he was trying to pull a U-turn out the crossover, and the pace truck was coming around with the field. I don't know if spotter wasn't saying, "Hey, look out, the truck's coming," but it was close. He slammed on the brakes and almost had a. There's this one guy in like Supermods last year. I can't remember his name, but the pace truck hit him a couple years. Or I think it was last year, but tore the car up. So we almost had a close call there. And then after 85, that's where the floodgates open. That's when everything goes south.
Yeah.
We get a bunch of back-to-back yellow flags. Cale Hall, he jumped up to second. He made his way up through the field throughout the whole race, and then he gets ran off the backstretch on that next restart.
Yeah.
You saw that in the race
Yeah.
replay.
Yeah.
Hudson was underneath him. Do you think he forced him off, or was
Yeah.
this a mistake?
No.
I mean, he's raced there enough to know where he's at on the track.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say he pushed him off.
I think so. Okay. What do you guys think? Did Hudson run Cale off the track? Let us know in the comments down below. Then we get a caution on lap 91. Aiden Potter again gets collected with Zach Johnson in turn 1. We restart on lap 91, and it gets a little exciting when Hudson Bolger and Luke Baldwin get into it. Baldwin gets loose under Bolger into turn 1. Very next lap, Bolger moves Baldwin down into 1 and 2, gets underneath him. I thought it was fair game. He barely touched him. I mean, we're coming down to 10 to go.
Yeah.
We're down to the wire. And then 2 laps later, Luke kind of drives through him and dumps him. I mean, they met in the middle of 3 and 4, and around goes Bolger. Luke goes to the back. What do you guys make of that, Rick?
I think he left the door open because he was clearly going up underneath him. And the way he arced the corner just come back down on him. But, I mean, could he have eased up? Yeah, but why?
It's 10 to go like that. It's go time.
I mean, yeah, why would you,
Here's what I think was funny, though. And it's on the broadcast. I don't know if y'all saw it or if we skipped past it, but Hudson's race was done. He pulled down a pit road.
I saw this.
You know where I'm going with
Yeah.
this.
I was right in front of him.
That's
You
hilarious.
saw it live?
Yeah, I was right in front of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got an eyewitness there.
Yeah.
So Hudson gets out of the car. He's mad. He goes to the trailer. He comes back to the car on pit road. Luke's on pit road, getting his right front pulled back out. And they're like 3 pit stalls away from one another. Well, as Luke drives off, Hudson's standing there kind of like looking at Luke drive by. And he turns around and gives him a little donkey punch, like kicks the car
Yeah.
as Luke's driving by.
Yeah.
And they re-watched it on the broadcast too as a replay of it.
Hudson Bulger in the pits, looking dejectedly after a shot at victory. Take a look at a replay here in the pits. Watch Bulger standing out there and kicking at the car of Luke Baldwin on the way by.
Is that a wise move to A, step in front of a car while it's moving, B,
I mean, no, it's not a wise move, but it's you're
Is that a way of-
frustrated,
is
you're
that a good
mad.
way?
And, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, he's young, right? He's going to figure it out. But you're also talking about the same kid that ripped his car store sticker off and got mad at the tour
Yeah.
last year. So
that was on camera.
He's got a little anger there.
Yeah. So
But
I thought,
what's funny was, they were all down hanging out, talking, chilling, like they were friends. It was just a race, and they all got
Word.
mad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
word
right.
maybe was the key word. I don't know,
Word.
but
word friends.
yeah. When tensions are high like that,
yeah,
I mean, emotions get the best of everybody
Yeah.
in those instances. But
I mean, if it would have been me and I was that man, I'm going to donkey kick a door, I would have just jumped out of the car while Luke was parked behind him,
Yeah.
right on the hood, right through the windshield. I'd have air dug him. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I mean, why do it? I mean, that was kind of a chicken shit move. Make it known. Jump on the damn hood.
Yeah.
You know? Do something if you're going to do it.
yeah, be about it.
Yeah.
Don't just talk about
Right.
it or give a little side
And I'm
kick.
surprised they didn't like throw him out for the super race or something. You know?
Yeah.
For
Well, I mean, let's be real. He lives at that track. That's his
well,
home
they
Yeah,
track.
that's his home
sponsor it,
track.
I guess. Yeah. So
So that was funny. Lap 91 restart. New driver in the Setzer Racing Development car, Ben Mayer, comes from Trans Am and Off-Road Racing. He takes the lead. And he's holding off Steven Nassie on
the
that
dude,
lap
the
91.
kid's phenomenal. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he's
He's pitted right next to you
Yeah.
all weekend.
yeah.
yeah.
And he's I mean, he seemed like he's good, cool, calm, collective. Like
I
he
was-
wasn't very douchey or nothing. You know?
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
I was
Kids nowadays.
nervous
Yeah.
for him too, though, because with Steven being right behind him, I was like, man, the experience behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Steven could have just took that kid to school, but he raced him clean. I didn't think that.
And
Classy Nassie.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
classy.
will tell you, just from the experience this weekend, that the spotter makes the difference. So
Oh.
they probably pumped that kid up. The spotter did. You know?
I'm sure they were telling him.
Which I guess was Brandon Setzer. No,
I'm
no,
not sure
his
if
daddy
it's-
is. I think.
Dennis
Yeah,
Dennis
is
Fossform?
the Setzer-
I'm
is,
not sure who spots for them.
I'm sure they were telling him.
Yeah,
though,
but either
he's
way, yeah.
behind you.
That's a high pressure situation when
Yeah.
you got one of the best.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'm sure he's had experience with that with the with the Chevy program.
Yeah,
with the Chevy program.
the Trans Am stuff. I
The
mean,
Trans
yeah.
Am, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the off road. I guess he's buddies
Right.
with Travis Pastrana. I think I heard they made a
Yeah.
deal this weekend too.
They made like a video. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty good. I
That's
watched it.
cool. So good run for him. He ends up winning the race. We'll jump there here in a second. We get a couple more cautions though. I mean, we're under 10 to go, and lap 95. Stuart Dutton goes off the track in turn 1. He parks it for the night. Get into another restart here. Now, lap 97, a couple laps later, Tyler Reif turns Cale Hall, who was having a great run.
He was coming up.
He
I
turns him pretty
Yeah.
rough. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I was surprised to see that on the replay.
He wrecked him.
Yeah, he got underneath him and didn't seem to lift.
Yeah,
He should have jumped on his hood.
he didn't get hung up with him, so he couldn't.
So that kind of ruined the race for Cale. I think he rallied back to 11th or 12th, but that brings out another yellow flag. We get another restart, and this is probably the most dramatic moment of the race.
Yeah.
As everything else prior has been a turning point, but we get down to lap 99. We've got Ben Mayer in the lead, Steven Nassie on his door outside, Michael Hine third, Seth Christensen fourth, and then TJ was up to fifth there. Come out of turn 2, and Christensen gives a little tap to Nassie, just slight, and it sends Nassie around, and a bunch of cars pile in. Brandon
It
gets torn
wasn't
up.
too slight.
Yeah, it wasn't too slight.
You
And,
don't
and,
think so?
and we're on the straightaway.
Yeah, yeah. It was more straight away, and it
more
turned
like,
them.
More like I'm running
I
you
think it
over.
was a little more.
When I was typing up the show notes for this deal, I was thinking, man, that's unlike Seth. He just went in there, clean Nassie out. You know, he doesn't race like that. At least I've never seen him race like that. But then I watched it again and again on replay in slow-mo, and he barely touched him. He didn't mean to touch him. It wasn't intentional, because you can see the moment he tags him, he checks up immediately. More than he probably needed to. But he kind of straightens Nassie out. Well, at this point, the rest of the field piles in. Brandon, Garrett Gum, a lot of guys get piled in, and it junks a bunch of cars.
Which,
but
I mean, it's you're chasing a checker at that point. You know
it's
what I mean?
lap
Like,
99.
Yeah.
yeah, they're going for it. So in his defense, it could have, like you said, he barely touched him and
I think
checked up.
I think he tagged the left rear tire nasty a little bit because it's like when he got underneath them, it just sent him around instantly.
Well, you're on the high side already, right? Dirt's already been up flying. People's already around the track.
That's true.
There's trash up there, and you're already kind of yawed out
Well,
down
it's
the whole
pretty
back
sketchy up
straightaway,
there.
you know?
Yeah.
So you're turning the entire time down that back straightaway, so it doesn't take much, you know, to get you on the edge over there.
We came out on the top side of that, though.
Yeah,
We went from 5th to 3rd,
barely sneaked by.
Yeah.
snuck by, and honestly, the right rear of the car had a hole in the sidewall. If it would have went, green, white checker, it could have been a
It's
totally
been a bad day
different.
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's when Seth was turning. Did it get Seth's
Yeah.
nose on the right
Yeah,
rear?
Yeah, his left
When they-
front.
yeah, when
hit
they
our
jacked him
right
up.
rear.
When Brandon came in there and jacked him up, then it kind of turned him into us.
Yeah, so that could have been.
Brandon got the bad end of that deal,
Yeah.
too.
He did. Yeah, that
Yeah.
tore
His
the
car
car
got
up.
destroyed.
And,
right
and I feel bad for him because we talked about this on the last show. Like New Smyrna, in my opinion, was his best race. Well, I'm gonna chalk that up again, and he done
backed
even
it up
better.
again.
Yeah.
He did even better this race,
Yeah.
and so really, really proud of him and impressed. And just hate he couldn't finish the deal.
Yeah.
You know.
He hung out inside the top 10,
Yeah.
top 7, really.
He ran with us the whole
race.
night. All of us were all running
Yeah,
right there.
I had to send him a little dirty text this morning though.
Yeah.
I mean, tried to wreck us with 10 to go. Nah, just kidding. But he did get into us, but it was all good and fun. So.
It's funny. So, well, it's not funny, but after he was dejected, after getting out of the car, he was getting up in the Legend, getting ready for that race, and I was sitting on the door talking to him. He said, "Tell Kyle sorry using his car as a test dummy for using the bumper." Because he's never really been in a position
Yeah.
to have to move somebody. Or I mean, it was a close race.
Yeah.
We saw the right side of this, or it was probably the left side of the 15 car.
All
the
jokes
fire.
aside, there was 8 drivers at this weekend that could have won the race,
Mhm.
right? But if you really break the race down, the top 12 was a blanket, right? You know, other than whoever was leading had clean air. So there was some cautions and some stuff got tore up, but as tight of a racing and door to door that they ran all night long, and the position that people like Brandon is not used to got into, I mean, it was unbelievable, to be honest with you. I mean, it was tight racing. So at that point, it's track position. You know, if you were a 7th place guy and you had the opportunity through a caution or whatever, and you were leading, that guy's going to lead the race now. That's how tight the field was. So it was pretty tight racing. And for pro racing, I know it's not clean, but it was a pretty clean race considering, because usually they get kind of stretched out, and there was no stretched out this whole weekend. So
It was a fun race to watch.
It was.
Yeah.
It was
Like,
neat.
That was a good race.
It put on a good show, really
The
good show.
cool part about it was, unlike late model stocks, there wasn't a lot of rooting and gouging
No.
to the point of, well, they're trading blows left and right.
Yeah.
Leaders
Yeah.
getting
Everyone was
pushed
clean.
four car lengths up
And
the
as
track.
tight as races was, there should have been a lot more
Mhm.
wrecks and chaos than what really went on.
Yeah.
So I was pretty impressed with everybody.
Checkered flag. We mentioned Ben Mayer went on to win the race. Very first race in a pro car. I think he said he ran 2 late model races prior. So that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
This is a crown jewel race, and he went on to win the dang thing. Ben Mayer first. Michael Hine brought it home second. TJ, as we talked about, went up and finished 3rd in y'all's car. Seth Christensen 4th. Do you think he should have kept the spot?
Well, I think there's like a ruling or something.
I don't
last
know.
lap, though.
I don't know. I mean, if we'd have been in that situation with my luck, we wouldn't have kept the spot.
Yeah.
I've never
Of
been
course.
that fortunate. So, the rule's the rule, and they let him hold the spot. And
Do you think it was for the win? If he would have crossed the finish line first, we've seen Cars Tour take wins away
yeah,
for that deal. But if it was for the win, does that change how the race director calls
No,
it?
because they're gonna wreck them every
yeah,
time.
I mean,
You got to have the rule in place for some point.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it's for the win or if it's for 3rd, 4th place, do they penalize the
rules-
driver only if it's for the
I mean,
win?
the rule's the rule. I mean, if he'd have done that with 3 to go, he'd have went to the tail end, right?
That's a good point, too.
So what's
yeah.
the difference in coming to the checkered? You know,
And everything
so-
we hear about is we got to keep the cost of racing down. Keep the cost of racing down. Well, if they're not going to implement the rule, look how much money's going to get tore up.
Yeah.
Look how much money Brandon's got to spend on his car.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the rule's got to be there.
So do you think Seth should have been sent to the rear?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Alex?
He initiated it, so yes.
So he finished 4th. I think that's official now. I think they published the official results
Yeah.
as 4th. And then Steven Nassy held on for 5th. He got straightened out in the wreck. Like,
Yeah.
once everybody piled in,
Yeah.
he got straightened out. So
Good for him,
he
you
finished
know.
5th.
I mean,
A few highlights from the race. As we talked about, TJ drove the wheels off, in my opinion. I mean,
man,
started 11th.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was impressed with his qualifying lap. I know y'all were off a little bit in practice, but never had a chance to mock
We
up.
never mocked up all weekend, so that honestly we didn't know what we had. I mean, we
Mhm.
knew. I knew from experience being down there and kind of knowing what we had. Like, I knew we have a good race piece. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know if the raw speed was there. But we never gave the car an opportunity, or him, or tires, or anything to show the raw speed. So we kind of went into qualifying a little blind, to be honest with you. But it panned out, and we were.
Mhm.
You know, don't get me wrong, the car needed a little something better to get him up there to battle for the win, even as tight as the field was, but we weren't missing it by much. So I was pretty pleased. And never working with him never working with me. I met him less than 24 hours before then, as far as, talking and stuff like that.
On the phone.
On the
Not even
phone.
in person. On the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The deal came together fast.
Yeah.
Came super fast. We had to fit him in the car at the track. He wasn't 100% comfortable on Friday, just because of the way the seat was. We worked on that on Thursday. So we worked on that late Thursday night and got him a little more comfortable for Friday. No one, everybody had not been on the tire, right? Kind of learning his driving style. But, man, for the first showing for him and the team and everybody, I can't be any more happier, to be honest with you. Pleased with the
He
whole
can
deal.
drive.
Yeah.
He's
He's a wheelman.
Yeah.
And he's got great feedback, too.
Yeah, and I got to give a big shout out to Eric Roll. I mean, dude, he got up on that radio and really put that deal together for TJ and us. And
So that's
really
the
happy.
thing with, I wanted to say, all the practice, TJ practice, with short little runs, we never saw his potential come out in any of the practice.
No.
He never drove the car the way that he could drive the car because he didn't have the confidence of his spotter. Once his spotter got there for the race, it was a totally different race car driver. Like, he literally got up on the wheel and made it happen. I mean, y'all agree with that? I mean, y'all were there the whole time. Like,
And any driver's got to be comfortable, right?
Correct.
Whether it's the guy on the radio, whether it's the guy that's working on the car, whether it's the way the seat feels, right? It's all about confidence and being comfortable in your surrounding. And he didn't know us. He didn't know the spotter that we had. He didn't know the whole deal, right? And so it was just a comfort thing. And man, if we'd have had that comfort on Thursday, I think we'd have had a whole different animal because
he qualified top five.
Yeah.
Top five.
Yeah. And I mean, what half of a tenth?
Yeah, it was
Half of
close.
the tenth will put you fifth or fourth or whatever it
think-
was. So it was a super tight field.
Y'all ran a 063. I think the pole was like an 89.
Yeah.
So like a tenth and a half off the pole.
Off
but
the
yeah,
pole,
to
but-
fit to top 5 would have been like half
Yeah.
tenth.
Yeah.
Even. And we always hear in NASCAR how important the spotters are, that trust, that bond that you have with them. And like you said, TJ didn't know us. He didn't know spotter. He didn't know the team, didn't know the car, all these new things for him. So getting his spotter in there that he was comfortable with, that was something that he was used to.
And let him relax,
Yeah.
and he got up on the wheel and did
It
what
just
he
takes
does.
time with anybody you work with to build that bond.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, now I can reach my full potential because I
Absolutely.
have what I know.
Well, you're going to be timid, right? You don't want to get in the car and tear up a car.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do that, So you got to respect that, But
We brought that car back right there, and it's
as tight of a race as that was, I'm telling you the top 15 was bumper to bumper,
Yeah.
right? And so I think we got one donut.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was shocked.
And a blue mark on
because-
the back bumper.
Yeah, and the blue mark. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
and right here, that's how close to tight the racing is. If y'all,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can see that in the picture, but
Yep.
that's literally the exhaust from a car that melted the wrap right there.
Yeah,
That's
it was
tight.
That's
door to
tight.
door all
Mhm.
race. So
There was no room to give.
No.
It was on top of one another for sure. So cool deal there with TJ. Bilo, we talked about him many times. He drove his butt off. Disappointed that he didn't get to finish the job,
yeah,
but nothing he could really do there.
He's got a win coming in his future.
Yeah, maybe
He's
as soon as Speed Weeks.
Yeah.
In just about a
He
month.
might be one of my picks.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, that's what's going to be coming up here next. The Supers, the only highlight to talk about that. What a feat. Bubba Pollard went 4 in a row at SpeedFest.
yeah.
Good.
He's won it 5 times now total. He's grew up racing that track, legend cars and everything. But to go 4 straight against these teams that he competes against in the ASA Tour, and he's going full-time on that deal this year,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's a good way to start your year. I don't care who you are. That's awesome.
No.
Did you listen to his victory lane speech?
No, I meant to listen to it. I heard he called someone out though.
A bunch of them. Well,
Really?
More than one. I don't know how many it was because I didn't get a chance to really watch the race, but he was calling out the young video gamers.
Was he?
and
All these iRacers.
Money
Dang it.
bringers and everything. So
Yeah. Helmet holders? Them too?
a lot of helmet
Hey,
holders, yeah.
when Luke wasn't in the super race.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about this. But you know who was in the super race? Luke's buddy Hudson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had some words after the race. It was kind of like two dogs barking at one another.
That's not what I heard though.
Well, there was only one dog barking at one.
I heard there was some
the other one
coaching
kinda
to
just-
eventually get him to come out of the trailer.
Yeah, I heard,
was
yeah,
it?
I heard that too. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
We heard he had to tell a couple people,
Yeah.
tell him to come out and talk to me.
Luke ain't scared.
I didn't really know him until
I didn't know him either.
until I interacted with him this weekend. But he's hilarious.
He's such a funny
yeah,
dude.
He's
yeah,
fun.
he is.
And I
So-
guess him and TJ are pretty good friends.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we got to meet
Yeah.
him was, TJ, he came over and saw TJ, and he's funny.
Yeah.
He was funny.
Yeah. So they had some words. Check it out on, I think it's Short Track Scene on Facebook to see the video that we're talking about. But it was funny. We watched it. It was probably like a 4 or 5 minute exchange. Luke's doing most of the talking. Hudson's kind of just like standing there, taking it, trying to say something, but you got to work on your comebacks, Hudson. Like, that's all I'm going to say about that. You got to. They were throwing jabs from like, well, you did this 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on.
Let's
I mean,
focus on what
yeah.
just happened.
Yeah.
Not 5 years
So
ago.
that was fun.
Well, I don't know the story, but you guys need to get the story of how TJ and Luke met.
there
They
a story
started
there?
telling, and it was hilarious. I thought TJ and Luke were going to fight standing there, and they were riding together because TJ was saying one thing and Luke was saying the other, and they kind of were different stories. And it was all about a legend car and who wrecked who.
That's funny.
So it was,
Yeah.
and they were cutting up, having a good time with it.
Right.
But it was funny. So next time you see them, ask
I'll
him the
ask him about
story.
that. That's
yeah.
cool. That's cool. Moving on to Speed Weeks at New Smyrna Speedway in about a month. I think there's 7 Pro Late Model races on that week of racing at the World Series. 100 lapper. I think the rest are 35 lappers. It's a pretty big entry list so far. About 17 or 18 cars on it so far. and
So what are we
we're
picking?
a month
Just
away.
the one race?
I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet. It's going to be a lot if we pick. I think we should pick
Or what if we pick one
the
driver?
points. What if we pick based on the points? Who's going to win the championship? That sort of thing. Because it's a points deal of all races put together. That's probably going to be our easiest bet.
Okay.
We
Rather
need to look at
than
the schedule and see. Maybe we pick out some of the races are bigger.
maybe
than
the 100
others.
lapper. We pick a
Maybe
winner
we
for
pick
that.
a few of them, and then we do an overall
Okay.
points deal.
That's a good idea. This is the entry list we have so far.
Okay.
Oh,
Good
one
amount
other
on
thing.
there.
Interrupt you. See, I'm thinking of points. Chelsea brought up a good thing. Why don't we do a point system on us?
Oh,
Right
that's-
now we got the leader.
Thanks,
That's our little
producer.
producer in here.
Yeah, we got the leader over here with
Yeah.
the points right now. So
Well,
maybe
let's
we'll
try that
start
next year if
tallying.
he's already
tallying
ahead
up.
of us.
Well,
Well,
hey, I couldn't argue with his pick this week. So
I'll
That's right.
retro it.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the beginning of the season and we'll tally some
Yeah.
points.
That's fine.
That's a good idea, Chelsea. Thanks, Chelsea.
She's in
That's
there
a good
hard
one.
working like she
Yeah.
always does.
He's crunching numbers. So we'll do that then. We'll keep a tally on the year and
yeah.
Good idea.
and maybe we'll take the winner out to dinner or something like that at the end of the season. So our entry list for this year, the only one that I'm going to talk about that stands out to me is Raphael Lessard. He's a Canadian from Quebec. He used to run the NASCAR Truck Series for KBM, used to run the Super Late Model program at KBM. He's got a lot of experience. He hasn't been in the States in a long time. I think he still runs the Canadian NASCAR Canada Series, but he's making a return to the States running a pro car. I saw a picture of it on Facebook. That thing looks pretty cool, so I'm excited.
Is it his or is it?
I think it's theirs. Yeah, I think it's his operation. That'll be cool to see. I got a few Canadians in the field, some drivers all across the country. Should be a good show for
Yeah.
8 or 9 nights, 7 races. Looking forward to it.
I can already tell you who my pick's gonna be, but
I could probably guess, but Jimmy Rayford,
no,
I was
No?
saying he can't. He's already picked them.
no, Hunter Wright.
Hunter Wright.
Yeah.
Oh, he's always good there.
Well, he crashed
Yeah, he got
Kyle's boy. He was crew chief for.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Junk
got
that
he got
thing.
my boy Dustin last year. So.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. Well,
That's what I'm going
we'll
with,
see.
so.
He was a front runner last year,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we'll see how it pans out.
So we had some comments on the last week's question. So we're going to do another one this week. So the question this week is, can the average family of 4 afford to put their kids into racing? And let's talk like 10, 12 U's racing go-karts. Can they afford to do it?
Jason's laying it on us.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious what everyone's thoughts are. I mean, you guys know the cost more than I do.
I would
mean,
say,
I
would
get
say,
it.
I would say no.
I'd say capital N-O.
Yeah, no. I mean,
No way.
if you want to go to K1 and you do
Yeah.
their league or something like that, it's a different story.
Mess
but,
around.
no.
So the second part of this is, iRacing has become so big. There's a lot of guys and kids out there that are running iRacing. How much talent is behind the wheel of an iRacing that aren't getting the opportunities
A lot.
to actually race because they can't afford it?
So here's the thing.
And what do we do to try to, get some of these kids out from the iRacing and into a real go-kart or into a Legend or
I have
whatever
two
it
answers
is.
for that, but
So
I
this
want to
is
hear Alex.
it's a touchy subject because, like in our shoes, luckily my mother-in-law and father-in-law love racing,
Correct.
so we get a ton of help from them. But it also takes help from other people. So can a family afford it? No. But
It can be an effort, team effort.
yes, I mean it takes everybody. Everybody.
We all do what we want to do, right?
Yep.
And so that's what your kid wants to do. You're going to figure it out. So whether that's getting family members or sponsorships or whatever it takes, you're going to make it happen to a certain degree, right?
Right.
To at least get the entry level of what racing is.
Now, if your question was, can the average family with no supplemental income or money source afford it, just an average income, then no.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if
there's
if
no
you have a
way.
desire and you're going to go after what
You'll
you
make a
want, you're
way.
going to
You'll
make it
cut
work.
corners. You may not race every weekend. You may race once a month. You know what I'm saying? But
Which is sad though, because there's so many,
oh yeah,
there's so many kids out there
But,
that,
I mean-
that could race that
Mm-hmm.
just can't afford to do
Well,
it.
I mean, money
Yeah.
dictates a lot.
That's what it's all about.
But
A
the
lot,
average person
you know.
could put their kid into like a stick and ball sport or a soccer or
Yeah.
whatever it might be that they
Any
want
other
to do.
sport.
Any other sport other than the sport of racing.
Amen.
yeah.
Yeah.
It takes money. What it
Yeah.
comes down to.
I don't think the average family could afford it. But
What do we need to do to, like, what's the solution?
At this
for that?
point, there's
we
not.
could go on for
Yeah.
Yeah.
days.
I
I
mean,
don't
this is
know
the
about
topic that'll never
So-
stop.
Yeah.
But the iRacing,
Yeah, bring
go ahead.
that up.
So with iRacing, they still have the eNASCAR College iRacing series where college kids, myself included, when I was in college, I competed in this. It was like $7,000 of scholarship to win
Really?
these races. They ran like 4 or 5 races a year. I didn't win any, but they paid through the top 10, and I mean that's big money
So,
to use towards college. So that's not really to help you go racing,
but
if
it's helping
if
a
it's
kid.
paying for your school,
Correct.
for your education. Now you can like in turn use that money to go racing.
Which, we just had this conversation today. We've got a friend of ours from high school. His son is into, I guess they do sport shooting. And they were talking about the cost of guns. And he said, you would not believe what some of these kids are out there using to do sport shooting. What did he tell us some
Well,
of
he
these
said the
guns
sky's the limit, but some of them
Yeah.
are 25,000 and up, and
Well, that's
and some
kids,
kids
yeah.
are shooting a $500 gun. And
Mhm.
he said he was fortunate enough to do some horse trading. His son's going to be able to shoot a $7,500 gun this year. So,
which is cool, but it's like, man,
where's the cap?
Yeah.
Even on stuff like that,
Unless they implement one in their rules, it's the
Yeah.
same as racing.
Exactly.
Same as racing,
Same
Yeah.
as
you know?
racing.
It's
It's
the
kind
same
of
as
an open.
racing.
It's an open wallet at that
Mhm.
point,
And I guess the question we were all going back and forth was, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, we can't race, it's too expensive. Well, you look at this kid's doing sport shooting, it's kind of the same thing, Where's
unique-
that
yeah.
limit? They can go up as high as they want, but they can also get a $500 gun and go shoot. And if they're good enough, they can still do it, So, I don't know. See what everyone else has to
Yeah.
say. What do y'all think? Can an average family go racing?
And that's Jason laying it on us. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Back of the Shop from Cordio Motor Speedway. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure to leave us a like on our YouTube channel and subscribe to the page, as well as leave us a review. We're going to wait to, I don't think we have any reviews yet, but we're going to wait to try to see some coming in before we start reading them. And be sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. Coming up next, I'm going to be at New Smyrna for Speed Weeks, and then we're going to talk about it here on the channel. But make sure you're following along. That way you see all the content we have going out on the TH Motorsports and the BSRM pages. But until then, guys, there's only one thing to do, and that's see you back at the shop.